Yeah.
So I've always been a connector of people, whether it was for business, friendship, or romantic relationships. I feel like I've always had a good read on people and who would be compatible with one another.
Okay.
Like I remember, so I'm from New York, and every year I would like host like my birthday party and things, and this is when I would really utilize my connecting skills. I mean, not just on one day, but throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I would like strategically place people at dinner, like especially whenever I hosted things, in order to see if there was a connection, not just romantic, but business and friendship.
Okay.
So there are people that I know today, right, who say like, without you sitting me next to so and so, I would have never had this job that led me to this, that led me to that. Weird, because somebody asked me the other day. They said, are you scared to have investors and this money? You're dealing with other people's money. And I was like, no, because I'm going to triple it, quadruple it, 10x it, 20x it, 30x it.
Yeah.
And then when we actually exit, these people are going to be like, what are you doing next? I'm going to invest.
Yeah. Nice.
Because I know for me, once I sell this, I'm building 10 more things.
10 more things. Yeah.
So I used to work in education. I was published author, leader in a school, teacher, trainer. And I was actually fired because I had the account dating in Dubai.
Okay.
They were like, this doesn't match the ethos of our school. And I was like, okay. Now, what I will say is that experience and going through that and taking that time off to reflect actually pushed me in the direction of opening up my own agency. So I always say things do happen for a reason, and whether or not you think like it's something negative or positive, you do need to take the time to sit back and reflect, because there is a path. So even just being in that time where I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I was like, okay, no, there's a reason why that had to happen, because without that, I wouldn't have everything that I have
very
now.
True. Yes. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dollar Diaries.
And a huge thank you to Horizontal for sponsoring this lovely venue for us to shoot at.
Today we have our guest, Christiana Maction. She is, in other names, Dubai's elite matchmaker. So let's get into it.
Then what I've learned as a matchmaker is that you can never tell what kind of connection you're going to have with somebody or what two people are going to have until they actually meet in person.
That is true.
And what happens a lot in like the dating app world that we live in now is that you match with somebody, maybe you're chatting them for a few weeks, which is like so much wasted time. Like, don't you have other things to do? Like, why are you chatting this person for so long? But you're chatting them, and then you're kind of building up this idea of who they are. And what happens a lot is that you then face a lot of letdown when you actually meet them in person. So instead, we're skipping that whole chit chat kind of step where you actually just meet them. And then after that, we collect feedback. Internal feedback feeds into our AI engines in order to basically perfect the compatibility process. But then the external feedback goes to the other person. So then they know you gain direction whether or not you're going to see each other again.
Okay.
Exactly.
But I think like the cherry on top are the in-person parties that we're throwing. Because not everybody has the time to go on one-on-one dates.
One-on-one dates, yeah.
So maximize your chances, and then you can meet somebody at a party. This isn't like whack speed dating, like none of that BS. This is like fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, fun
You get
stuff.
to meet multiple people at the same location.
And form friendships too. Like a lot of us move here without close friends, without family, without a partner. So it's at least you know everybody who's going is vetted, verified, of the same caliber. So you get to have some fun.
This is very interesting because I've never really met a matchmaker in real life, like in my life. And it's so interesting. I've always wondered how did you get to the point in your life where you're like, okay, I want to become a matchmaker.
Yeah. So I've always been a connector of people, whether it was for business, friendship, or romantic relationships. I feel like I've always had a good read on people and who would be compatible with one another. Like I remember, so I'm from New York. And every year I would like host like my birthday party and things. And this is when I would really utilize my connecting skills. I mean, not just on one day, but throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I would like strategically place people at dinner, like especially whenever I hosted things, in order to see if there was a connection, not just romantic, but business and friendship.
Okay.
So there are people that I know today, right, who say like, without you sitting me next to so and so, I would have never had this job that led me to this, that led me to that. So I loved it. And during 2020, I had started an Instagram account called Dating in Dubai, which kind of like was the catalyst to all of this. I was basically detailing my experience dating as a Western expat here, and gained some popularity. But what I learned from that account was that people hated dating in Dubai. And I love dating in Dubai. I think it's the best place on earth to date. It is the best place on earth to date, period. Blank.
I think she's the only one that I've ever like known in Dubai. I've lived in Dubai for 14 years and I've not heard it once anyone saying that, dating is enjoyable in Dubai. Not one person has said that to me.
I'm going to tell you. So when I found out that everybody hated it here, I said, I'm going to solve that problem.
Okay.
And that's what I did. I opened up my matchmaking agency. And it was interesting because I kind of was like the first public Western matchmaker, because when I first looked it up, I didn't see anybody here. And I was like, okay, this has to be illegal. Yeah. So then I basically consulted a legal team and I said, is this illegal here? But this was the time when they had opened up new visas, like work remote, golden visa, retirement visa. They had also changed the laws about living with a partner out of wedlock, having a child out of wedlock with a partner. So with that, I saw that there was a massive trend into kind of being more open, but also that Dubai was becoming less of a transient city and more of a permanent home for people, even when you just looked at the trends of buying real estate, right? Yeah, so I said, okay, this is the time for me to open. So I went public in 2021. With my agency, and then since then, gosh, I'm in over 150 media mentions.
Wow.
We're global now. We're the only agency that offer unlimited matchmaking opportunities, and it's been amazing. And now we have the app. It's crazy.
When you first started, did you think that you would reach where you are today?
No, I didn't. I knew it was gonna work, but
not on a huge scale.
No, and I think that I was always destined for this. Really so.
I think,
Especially just like in the success that we have created like thus far, and the connection and just happiness. And I think like the more that you give, the more you receive. Right. So all of like that contribution that I'm creating through connecting people, I think that's why I've seen so much success.
But then I think also it's because of your passion of connecting people and your love for it.
I love it so much.
That's actually making it a success. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like work, except when you're building an app. That feels like work, girl. But you get through it because you have a vision. You have a vision. True. You have a goal. You get through it.
That's wonderful.
So how was that process actually? Because you mentioned it took you 11 months, right, from start to finish for the app, and that's like when you look at it, that's such a short period of time. For
in the grand scheme of things, it's very short. Yeah. In the amount of tears, blood, sweat, it seems like a lot. Long time. But I will say, like, I felt, you start and then it picks up, right? Yeah. So really, I started putting money into it probably January of 2023 is when I started putting money into it and say, okay, let's start building like a prototype and getting this out there and actually road mapping what the product is going to look like and what kind of things are we going to solve, right? We need A, B, C, D. How do we do that, right? So that process started in January. It was quite slow. Even Feb, March, April, really slow. I think it picked up again when we were June. June, July, it started picking up, but then we had to, I switched tech agencies 3 different times. And the one that, August was when it really hit because we completely did a rehaul of our design. So, it's super sleek, black, white, gold, silvers, which I think is, so hot. I love it. It gives off that premium product feel, which is what we are.
Luxury.
Yes, luxe. And then from there, we then hired a different agency. Many struggles with this agency. The number one advice I will give to tech founders is first, don't do it. Secondly, do not hire an outside agency to build your live product. You need to have an internal tech team to do so. Developers, engineers, a tech lead that codes, in order to make sure that you're building a product that is scalable, that's going to fit what problem you actually want to solve. So I feel like when you go with an agency, what they're doing is they're just getting a job done. Getting a job done on a timeline rather than delivering a product that's actually, I mean, nothing's ever perfect in tech, but that's perfected in a sense where it is in alignment with your mission and your vision. Now we have transitioned into an internal tech team, in-house tech team, which they just get it. And because they're salaried and they have equity, they have more stake, more buy-in into the actual success of the business. So, gosh, my number one advice is hire an in-house tech team. It's also much cheaper. Much cheaper. Why did I do that? But they're all lessons learned. Lessons learned that get you to the next step, get you to the next level. And I think that with having all of that hardship with the previous agency that we were working with, it actually made me learn so much about tech. Like I can't code, but I know so much about tech now, which I always like reflect and I look at the bigger picture and I say, I'm like, okay, God, now I get it. So it helped me actually hire for the next people to be a part of the team, because I knew or learn from all of the pitfalls of the previous team, that I was like, okay, we need transparency. We need consistency. We need real demos that aren't like, hey, we did this, a chit chat about nothing. No, video. What did you do? Show me. Even if I can't legitimately read every single line of code, I understand it now. So show me what was done. What has been the progress? So all learnings. By
the end of it, you figured out what you wanted, and exactly you got that.
Yes, we're in the process. Nothing is ever perfect in tech, which is something else I learned, but it shouldn't be so unperfect is really what it
and also it shouldn't be too perfect where it's like almost fake.
It felt like there were very hard lessons learned in 2023, but I'm taking them with me for 2024 to build more. So that's all I care about.
That's wonderful.
So what does the future look like for
you? So right now with Maction, right, it's kind of, we are doing the whole connecting people, getting them to meet, not only just on unlimited dates, but also in real in-person parties. But with Maction, what we want to do is, that's kind of like the English expat version of it, right? English just language, right? Expat version of it. Our next thing is we're going to build portals into the app for different communities. Because what I've learned as a matchmaker, and this isn't like rocket science, but there are certain communities that only want to date or find a partner within their community. Islamic communities, maybe the Indian Desi community, Pakistani Muslim communities. So I understand that. So what we're doing right now is localizing the product to fit the different communities, so then we can make sure that we're not just creating connection for one sector, but for all sectors.
For everybody.
And I think culture, I mean, it does play a really big role over here being in Dubai, right? Because look at the vast amount of people over here.
And I'm super excited because as a matchmaker, I've worked with all different cultures and all different communities. So it's really cool because I understand kind of the nuances that need to go into it. I've also been asked to be a part of a television show that's all about Arabic or Islamic connections in the Arab world. So not just Muslim, but Christian and things like that.
Nice.
But it's fun because when I think about what I've created in terms of the matchmaking and matching up people, especially in the Muslim world, is that it's not just buy-in from one person. You need buy-in from the aunties, the uncles, the cousins, the brothers, the sisters, the mom, then the dad. Like it's kind of like a whole ladder system, which is similar in other communities as well, that have to get their entire entire family's approval. So I'm super excited because we're now in the process of building that product where everyone can get involved and then kind of expedite that whole experience of finding a partner.
Okay.
I think like there's so much time wasted nowadays between the swiping, between whether or not you're a person who's maybe more introverted or extroverted and what those options look like for you.
Right.
But also in the world that we live in social media, where there's kind of like this false sense that there are so many different options out there, when in actuality, who is a real match for you? Who are you truly going to be able to build a life with?
Yeah.
I think that expediting that whole process just creates more and more happiness, and that's what I can't wait to bring to more people.
That's actually amazing. Like, because I've heard a lot of matchmaking happening in India and in like Asian countries, but in Dubai, it's very out of the blue. Like, you know, like I was very surprised when Bakr told me that we're getting a matchmaker on the show, and I'm like, a matchmaker?
You're like, what?
For where?
Sign up.
I swear that.
Are you single right now?
Yeah.
I have a guy for you.
No.
I do, actually.
My mom cannot watch it.
No. He's mom approved. He's amazing.
No, my mom cannot watch this.
Okay. I think your mom would approve of him. He's actually a darling and a half. So I'll show you after the show and we'll get into it.
No.
Who would know? Yeah.
It's wonderful. When you started your agency,
yes,
and your app and everything, how much did you like start with, like in the money wise? How much did you start with? And
matchmaking? Zero. I started with $0, but you know what I did? So I used to work in education. I was published author, leader in a school, teacher, trainer, and I was actually fired because I had the account Dating in Dubai. They were like, this doesn't match the ethos of our school, and I was like, okay. Now, what I will say is that experience and going through that and taking that time off to reflect actually pushed me in the direction of opening up my own agency. So I always say things do happen for a reason, and whether or not you think like it's something negative or positive, you do need to take the time to sit back and reflect, because there is a path. So even just being in that time where I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I was like, okay, no, there's a reason why that had to happen. Because without that, I wouldn't have everything that I have
very
now.
True. Yes.
So I got my first client, and that was 10,000 dirham. And that's like, this was years ago. Now we charge 30,000 US just for 3 months. So different, way different. But I remember I had my first client, 10,000 dirham. And I mean, we did amazing things for him. But with that was in October 2021. Then November, I had 0 clients. And I didn't have any other salary because I wasn't in education anymore. So I remember asking my parents, I said, can you please give me $5,000? Like, I just need $5,000 like to live. Like, that was like me living, my bottom line.
Yeah,
back
basics.
Then, basics. Yeah. And they said no. They were like, no, you decided to go into this and to take that risk. So either you get a part-time job or you figure it out. So what I did was put everything on credit cards. I put everything on credit cards for the next 4 weeks. And then I just like was so convinced in myself and in my belief and knew that it was going to work because of all of the service that I was going to be able to provide to people. Just had so much conviction in myself. I said, no, it's going to work. And it did. January was like, this was back then. Geez, I can't remember how much, 40,000 dirham or something like that.
Okay, wow.
And then it just went up and up and up from there. And like I said, like now it's different prices, different clientele, because joined with a global agency. So
also you've come onto a different level as well.
Come onto a different level because of the systems that we use, and gosh, our success rate's over 95% because the systems are flawless. We offer unlimited matchmaking opportunities, and that's why we're able to find people their match, honestly.
Wow.
So it's been a wild ride in that sense. But like I said before, I wanted to just create more connection. And I had a client last year who found success. They're now in Europe, soon to be wife, gonna have a family, who said to me, you need to digitize these services because what you're doing is not scalable. You can't do this all. And you can bring this to a much wider audience. This is this. I like this. I like that. I like that. Take it. And I was like, cool. And that's when I just started building. I said, how do I do this? I've never entered the tech space before. Never even thought to. But now my goal is going to be a billionaire by 40.
Yeah. Wow.
Billy energy. It's all happening. Like I see it already. I'm selling this in 2 to 3 years. It's done.
Nice.
It's written in the stars.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's wonderful.
Have you ever thought of like expanding, because you mentioned it's predominantly for UAE?
Yes.
So,
Yes. So what I think is important and why I want to perfect the UAE first. I think that it's smart to perfect one market,
right,
and then it's easier to bring it to other markets. And because we have partnerships with Ukudo, Seven Rooms, Yango, which are all companies that are global, like it works, right? Now, my plan is to expand across GCC. I really want to focus here because this is the home that brought me everything. I feel like I've been here 7.5 years, and without Dubai, I feel like, or the UAE, like where would I be? So I want to give as much as I can back to this country that made me. So I want to be able to have UAE. I want Saudi. I'm putting it out there. I want Saudi. I want Qatar this year. Those are my goals.
Do you think you'd have troubles expanding to other countries outside GCC when it comes in terms of, culture differences, people, different profiles?
Yes, I think that because we live in such safe communities here in the GCC, the whole meeting part of it, most people feel safe meeting somebody without speaking to them. At least on our platform, everybody is verified through their EID, and then it'll be obviously through other different modes when we do expand across GCC. But I think that this can only work, especially the setting up of the dates, in certain cities. It can only work in certain cities.
Yeah.
When we localize the product, there's other factors that we need to take into place with that. So I think that we need to assess that and what makes sense for Maction to actually expand in a way where everybody feels safe and people are actually connecting. So you asked me how much money I needed to do the matchmaking agency, and it was 0 and a lot of hope. Now, to build the app, you need real money in order to do that, right? You got to pay people, you got to pay tech, you have to do all of it, right? So the first people I mentioned before, I asked my parents, right, when I was struggling to give me 5, and they said no. But then they saw the incredible success that I did have with the agency all on my own, that they were the first people to invest in Maction, the app.
Wow.
So they gave me $50,000 in Jan and said, you got this. I believe in you. Let's go. Now, next, I had my uncle. He invested $50,000.
Okay.
And then after that, I had a super angel who just saw one of my Instagram stories. And because I do speak a lot on my Instagram about building Maction, about being a matchmaker and the business of matchmaking, people know my story, and people feel tied into the business and have seen the success where we were 0 and now 6 figures a month. So it's like way different, right? So I had put out on my stories on June 1st, 2023, that what I want to do this month is close $250,000 US. One of my followers who I've never spoken to ever said, hey, I'm interested in this investment opportunity. We met on a Friday. Signed the contracts on a Saturday, wired the money on a Monday. The full 250.
Oh my goodness.
That is so quick.
That never happens. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
That never happens. This was the first person that I looked to outside of friends and family to invest.
Right.
And she said yes in 30 seconds. Well, 30 minutes. She had to, I left and whatever. But what I will say is that from there, though, so I had my parents put in some money. I have had not unlimited, but I have had so many conversations with potential investors. They end up ghosting you. Some of them are just full of. And also, like, I'll go and meet somebody, and then they'll be, "Oh, are you single?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" I'm like, "Is it gonna get me money? I don't know. Maybe I am." Just kidding. But what I will say is that you talk to a lot of people. It's like dating. It's a numbers game. When you're fundraising, it's a numbers game. So you just have to put yourself out there, go on meetings. But as you go through them, you start understanding who's a waste of time and who's not. And you kind of just like dating, you have to put up your standards in the beginning. For example, right now we're raising, I just closed actually this morning. So 1 hour before I got here, I closed another 150,000. So I'm very happy with that.
I've been having a good day.
I've been having a good day so far. So, and that'll help close my pre-seed. I have more meetings on Tuesday that will probably close around a little bit more significantly. But with that, what I will say is that you learn who is going to be a waste of time and who's not. And it's a stab in the dark, just like dating, right? I always say to someone, you have to go on every first date, just like fundraising. Go on every first meeting, but set your standards. Like I have put out on LinkedIn that, okay, listen, we're launched now, but we're still going to extend our pre-seed round because we're kind of in beta, we're testing. So if you want to close at these favorable terms, we're looking to raise another 500,000. Now I had some people ping me, hey, I'm interested in this opportunity. Somebody called me, but they were speaking about, I don't know, something like marketing and some tech and how they can help me with this. They wanted to meet in person. Now, I am very selective with my time and who I give my time to. So with that, I basically just told him on the phone. I was like, I am so hyper-focused on fundraising right now. If you want to have a conversation about fundraising, great. If you want to talk about marketing things, we can do that another time. And I think because when you put your foot down, and let's say you're dating as well, and you're like, my goal is XYZ, then you kind of just like the other person either steps up or steps out.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
We ended up meeting. That's still pending. I got to follow up with him. Investors will ghost you 1,000%, just like dating. That hoes ghost you too. I'm literally like on Monday, I'm going to put up a LinkedIn poll and be like, how many times have you been ghosted by an investor? Or what should you do when you get ghosted? But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting process, but it makes you smarter. It makes you
more aware,
thicker, like thicker skin.
Right.
Also, when you go into like these investor meetings, you can also tell when someone's kind of like baiting you or fishing for information.
Right.
Sometimes people fish for information as well. So you just have to be smart in what you speak about. But I will say this, and I love my favorite quote of all time is by Dr. Seuss. And he says, no one is youer than you. So think about it, right? How many dating apps are out there? I mean, we're a matchmaking concierge, but how many dating apps are out there?
A lot.
I am just so fully 1,000% backing myself and what I'm building and what I'm going to be able to create for people. So I know that what I'm creating, nobody else can.
Right.
Nobody else can.
It's because of your belief in yourself. People can see that, and hence they also start believing in you and in yours. In your services, in your work, in everything that you do, people start believing in you because you have that confidence and that belief in yourself.
Well, you know what it is too, and I think that because I have been able to raise money, not only because I'm cute and charismatic, but also because I've proven success with the matchmaking agency, which has proved product market fit. People are dying for an alternative as to what is on the market. So people have seen the success that I have created there, that they have a vote of confidence in me and what I'm going to create now. But yeah,
action speaks louder than words.
Definitely.
Always.
Yeah, and it's weird because somebody asked me the other day. They said, "Are you scared to have investors and this money? You're dealing with other people's money." And I was like, no, because I'm going to triple it, quadruple it, 10x it, 20x it, 30x it.
Yeah.
And then when we actually exit, these people are going to be like, what are you doing next? I'm going to invest.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I know for me, once I sell this, I'm building 10 more things.
10 more things, yeah.
And that's
You
what
won't-
I see.
you won't stop.
Future.
You won't stop. Now that
No.
you've seen that, you've felt that, like, that
Got the
you've got the taste of
Yeah.
the thing, you won't stop.
No,
Yeah.
I won't. And I know myself. So I think it's actually, I'm not scared at all to have other people's money.
Mhm.
If anything, it kind of gives me like that boost in confidence and what I am building.